Hello. Today is Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. Here is your daily signal. According to Fortune, Iran has issued a sweeping demand. The Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's busiest oil transport routes, will remain closed until the United States provides total compensation for war damage and, in their words, corrects its behavior. Iran's Supreme National Security Council publicly made this statement on August 8, 2026. Underscoring years of heightened conflict and tension between the two countries. The strait, a critical maritime chokepoint, normally sees about 21 million barrels of oil move through each day. Its closure ripples through global energy supply. Leaders at Iran's Supreme National Security Council are steering these demands at the United States, with global oil transport companies and energy markets deeply affected, while key regional players like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates depend on the strait for their oil exports. As Fortune reported, Iran's refusal to reopen the route centers on their insistence for compensation and behavioral change from the U.S., suggesting that in the near term, oil prices could spike sharply. Medium-term disruptions to energy supply chains threaten broader economic stability, and diplomatic relations between Iran and the U.S. look poised to worsen if talks stall. Security in the region may deteriorate further, raising risks for both military and civilian shipping in the Gulf. Next, onto the auto industry and consumer safety. Turning to Fortune's coverage of the Mercedes-AMG controversy, several drivers have filed a class action lawsuit, claiming the metallic AMG logo on certain Mercedes seatbacks gets so hot it burns occupants, literally branding their skin. This highlights not only immediate consumer safety fears, but also major product design questions for Mercedes-AMG vehicles. Built into the front seats, this raised logo is reasonably expected to make contact with passengers' upper back, neck, or shoulder, which, multiple reports claim, has resulted in burns. Mercedes-Benz Group AG is the main defendant as affected drivers press their case, and U.S. federal courts will determine the legal outcome, with consumer protection groups and regulatory authorities watching closely. According to legal filings, the logo's heat is alleged to cause actual burns, spurring the class action reported by Fortune on August 8. If proven, Mercedes may have to recall or redesign the logo, face settlement payouts, regulatory penalties, or mandated changes. In the medium term, brand trust and consumer confidence could falter, with wider scrutiny throughout the auto industry on the placement and safety of logos and materials. This case may also open the door for new safety standards in vehicle design. Now, let's turn our attention to environmental impacts and tech infrastructure. As reported by TechCrunch, Amazon's planned hyperscale data center in Texas is drawing intense scrutiny, and for good reason. If built as designed, its on-site fossil fuel power plant could become the largest source of climate pollution in the United States. Hyperscale data centers, like this one, demand enormous and reliable power, leading operators to favor private fossil fuel plants. U.S. regulations require rigorous environmental impact assessments for these projects, examining emissions, water use, and local ecosystem disruption. Texas, already seeing a surge in large-scale data centers, faces regulatory challenges for compliance with both state and federal environmental rules, including EPA emission thresholds and local zoning laws. Amazon Web Services drives the project, while Texas regulators, EPA officials, local communities, and advocacy groups all weigh its environmental footprint. TechCrunch's August 8 report signals that, if unchanged, Amazon's Texas facility could take the lead as the nation's most serious climate polluter. Near term, public scrutiny is intense. Legal challenges could slow approvals and construction. Operations may encounter higher compliance costs as stricter limits or mitigation mandates are imposed. Over time, reputational risk for Amazon mounts, possibly fueling industry-wide pushback against fossil-fueled data centers. Environmental consequences include more greenhouse gas emissions and pressure on local water supplies, magnifying ecological concerns across Texas and beyond. Now, onto the markets. International equities were mixed, with the Germany benchmark closing at 43.83 and Netherlands gaining the most on a day-over-day basis. France edged lower, while Spain posted the strongest month-over-month gain as Asia was led by Taiwan and Japan, each up amid broad regional resilience. Commodities saw notable gains in gold rising over 8% day over day and silver up over 11%, while U.S. oil slipped 0.6% on the session. Uranium and platinum also moved higher, and agriculture held flat. In sectors, the S&P 500 advanced slightly, closing at 773.015, as semiconductors posted the biggest day-over-day move, up over 3%, and real estate gained nearly 1%. Healthcare and finance ended marginally lower. Among individual stocks, GDEV surged by 220%, while OFL jumped 144% and RMCF gained nearly 119%. On the losing side, MBI fell 85%, PLAG dropped almost 79%, and NBIS sank 56% during today's session. That's it for today. You can find more news and details on our website. Goodbye.